Hey Livy, hey Harry. So we're back with the Enchanted Wood. And if you remember when we left it yesterday, they'd just managed to get home from their visit to, can you remember what land it was? Yes, it was the Roundabout Land. And I told you that they were going to meet Moonface and try and see who had the pot biscuits and see the slippery slip. So, let's see what happens. So the children clung to the top branches of the faraway tree while the rabbit slipped down a bit lower. They could still hear the music of the Roundabout Land as it swung overhead. "We'd better get home," said Joe. "It's all been a bit exciting." "Come on then," said Bessie, beginning to climb down. "It'll be easier to get down than it was to climb up." But Fanny was very tired. She began to cry, and as she clung to her branch, as she was the youngest, she wasn't as strong as Joe and Bessie. "I shall fall," she wept. "I know I shall fall." This would never do. There was such a long way for them to fall. "Fanny dear, you simply must try," said Joe gently. "We've got to get home safely." But Fanny clung to her branch and wept, and the two rabbits looked at her. "We'll help you." But Fanny wouldn't be helped. She was tired out and afraid of everything now. She wept so loudly that two birds nearly flew off in fright. Just as the others were really in despair, a small door flew open in the trunk of the tree. "Hey there, what's the matter?" shouted the moon-faced person. "A fellow can't get to sleep at all with all that awful noise going on." Fanny stopped crying and looked at Moonface in surprise. "I'm crying because I'm frightened of climbing down the tree," she said. "I'm sorry I woke you up." Moonface beamed at her. "Have you got any toffee?" he asked. "Toffee?" said everyone in surprise. "What do you want toffee for?" "To eat, of course," said Moonface. "I just thought if you had any toffee to give me, I'd let you slip down my slippery slip to get to the bottom very quickly." "A slide all the way down the faraway tree?" cried Joe. "Good gracious!" "I thought of it," said Moonface, beaming, just like a full moon. "I let people use it if they pay me toffee." "Oh," said the three children, and looked at one another in dismay, for none of them had any toffee. "We've got no toffee," said Joe, "but I've got a bar of chocolate." "Won't do," said Moonface. "I don't like chocolate." "What about the rabbits? Haven't they got any toffee?" The rabbits turned out their pockets, but they didn't have any anywhere. "Sorry," said Moonface, and slammed his door. Fanny began to cry again. Joe climbed down to the door and banged on it. "Hey, old Moonface," he shouted, "I'll bring you up some lovely homemade toffee next time I'm up the tree, if we'll let you use your slippery slip." Moonface beamed out. "Why didn't you say so before? Come on in." One by one, the rabbits and the children climbed down to the door and went in. Moonface's house in the tree was very strange. It was one round room, and in the middle of it was the beginning of the slippery slip. It ran down the whole trunk of the tree, winding round and round and round. Round the top of the slide was a curved bed, a curved table, and two curved chairs made to fit the roundness of the tree trunk. The children were astonished and wished they had time to stay for a while, but Moonface pushed them towards the slide. "You need a cushion each," he said. "Hey, Rabbit, take the top one and go first." One of the rabbits took an orange cushion and sat it at the top of the slide. He sat down on it and looked a little nervous. "Go on, hurry up," said Moonface. "You don't want to stay all night, do you?" He gave the rabbit a hard push, and the rabbit sped down the slippery slip at a tremendous pace. Joe thought it looked like a lovely thing to do, so he went next. He took a blue cushion, sat on the top, and pushed off and shouted, "Yahoo!" just like Harry does. Round and round and round went the slippery slip inside the enormous trunk of the old tree. It was quite dark and silent and lasted a very long time. Because, of course, the faraway tree was very, very tall. Joe enjoyed every second. When he came to the bottom, his feet touched a sort of trapdoor in the trunk at the foot, and the trap flew open. Joe shot out and then landed on a big tuft of green moss, which was grown there to make a soft landing place. He sat there out of breath, and then he got up quickly because he didn't want Bessie and Fanny landing on top of him. Bessie came next. She flew down on a pink cushion, just like Livy would have. Then Fanny came on a green cushion. One by one they shot out of the little trap door, which closed itself tightly as soon as the slider had gone through. They all sat on the ground, getting their breath and laughing. The rabbits stood up first. "We'd better be going," they said. "So pleased to have met you." They disappeared down the nearest burrow, and the children waved goodbye. "Come on," said Joe, "we really must get home." "Oh, what a lovely way of getting down the faraway tree. It was so quick." "I loved it," said Fanny. "I'd like to climb the tree every single day so that I could slide down the glorious slippery slip." "I say, what do we do with the cushions?" At that moment, a red squirrel, dressed in an old jersey, came out of the hole in the trunk. "Cushions, please," he said. The children gathered them up and handed them to the squirrel one by one. They were getting quite used to hearing animals talk now. Are you going to carry all those cushions up the tree to Moonface?" asked Fanny. The squirrel laughed. "Of course not," he said. "Moonface lets down a rope for them. Look, here it comes." A rope came slipping down between the branches. The squirrel caught the end of it and tied the bundle of cushions firmly onto the rope. He gave 3 tugs, and the rope swung upwards again, taking the cushions with it. "Good idea," said Joe, and they all turned to go home. They came to the ditch, jumped across, they went down the lane through their little back gate, and by the time they reached the cottage, they were ready to drop. They were so tired. Mummy and Daddy weren't home yet, so Bessie sleepily made some bread and milk. Doesn't sound very nice. They undressed while the milk was heating, and then ate supper sitting in their beds. "I'm not going up the faraway tree again," said Fanny, lying down. "Well, I am," said Joe. "Don't forget we promised old Moonface some homemade toffee. We can climb up to his house, give him the toffee, and slide down the slippery slip again. We don't need to go to any land at the top of the tree." But Bessie and Fanny were fast asleep, and very soon Joe was too, dreaming of the strange faraway tree and the curious folk that lived in the enormous trunk. The next chapter is called Bessie Makes Some Toffee for Moonface, but that will have to wait for tomorrow. So, hope you've enjoyed the story so far, and hope you're being good, and hope you are having some fun. Anyway, Grandma's saying cheerio, bye-bye, lots of love.